I was inspired to make this video by two videos in particular, the first of which is titled YouTuber Guides and the Parasocial Problem, made by Terror. There was a section in said video dedicated to discussing SunnyV2 and the various channels that make similar content to his, such as the Internet Anarchist, Turkey Tom, Loesta, Patrick CC, among others. And taking a look at these channels, them along with SunnyV2 share a lot of similarities. For starters, they all have that smooth, highly polished editing style. Most of them generally do weekly uploads. Their thumbnail styles share a lot of common elements among other similarities. Also, during that section of his video, he expresses how he dislikes this side of YouTube, and that's a completely fair opinion to have. I personally don't hate the side of YouTube, nor do I love it, and I also don't despise how, to an extent, video essays have been commodified because it was bound to happen eventually. And this brings me to the second video that I was inspired by, called The Death of Corporate YouTube by King XP. In said video, he touches on the general notion of YouTube channels that are conditioned to pump out as much content as possible for profit, sometimes caring very little about the content or product they're making, not too dissimilar to a corporation. This kind of business model has always existed on the platform, being even more prevalent nowadays than ever before, as YouTube has become increasingly popular. And with the rise of channels like SunnyV2, he's essentially become a modern day blueprint for documentary style channels to take note of if they want to maximize the amount of views they get, in turn increasing profits. Another point he makes is that channels like Sunny's, not only in the drama video essay space but also in other niches, make content mainly to appease the algorithm. And throughout the years, I think the perception of the YouTube algorithm has been tainted and a lot of misconceptions surrounding it have been spread. So I want to explain what this seemingly deific beast actually is. Yes, YouTube does have a series of algorithms put in place that recommends videos to viewers it thinks they might want to watch, but this isn't the end all be all in terms of dictating whether or not a video is going to perform well. That's up to the audience. And if a particular video has an audience of people that want to watch it, YouTube will recommend it more and more to that specific audience. And this process can take days, weeks, months, or even years. My most viewed video, for example, only pulled around 3.7k views in its first week. However, YouTube pushed it to the right audience and eventually managed to amass over 1 million views, which took about 300 days since publishing for it to crack that milestone. The point I'm making here is that the YouTube algorithm isn't solely responsible for a video's success, because if there isn't an audience for a video, then the algorithm can't do its job and recommend it. So ultimately, our job as creators is to make content people want to see. That's of course easier said than done. However, if we do manage to make videos people like, we will be rewarded, and this brings me back to SunnyV2. I think it's important to talk about why his channel thrives. So first and foremost, let's talk about the general lane in which he operates. This well-edited, mostly faceless, non-personality driven documentary or video essay style of content about drama, YouTubers, and public figures. Given the topics this side of YouTube covers, as well as the general interest in celebrity culture, conflict within said culture, and controversial figures audiences have, naturally content like this succeeds and has always succeeded even prior to the rise of these kinds of video essayists. I think what sets Sunny apart, however, and the reason he's at the top of the totem pole, is because he was the one who pretty much reinvented the video essay format, and he also created a solid video formula, which is a combination of factors including, of course, his editing style, his 8 to 15 minute video length, his recognizable thumbnail style, his weekly upload schedule, his negatively skewed portrayal of a public figure or brand a lot of people know about, and his ability to easily pump out videos with said premise that millions are interested in. If you take this basic formula, change it in various ways, whether that be the specific types of public figures that are discussed, the video length, the thumbnails, theoretically you can tap into different audiences that perhaps Sunny doesn't, and that's how we end up with the quote-unquote SunnyV2 clones. Before we go into the various quote-unquote SunnyV2 clones, I want to clarify what I mean by this. I'm not saying that they're complete carbon copies of him, but I'm more so implying that they follow a very similar content business model, as well as content strategy. You can think of SunnyV2 as like the McDonald's of the side of YouTube, Internet Anarchist as Burger King, Turkey Tom as Chick-fil-A, Loesta as Arby's, Patrick CC as Wendy's, and as I mentioned not too long ago, all of these channels have slight variations of the same basic formula, so let's break down what makes them all unique. Where SunnyV2 makes relatively short videos covering everything from brands, internet personalities, public figures, and mainstream celebrities, someone like the Internet Anarchist mainly makes 15 to 30 minute videos covering drama regarding internet figures like streamers, YouTubers, and TikTokers, and essentially recaps conflictual events involving them. Turkey Tom also makes similar videos, except his are about 40 minutes to 2 hours long, and he also delves into other figures such as lolcows and degenerate internet users in general. Patrick CC has a focus on general celebrity and Hollywood culture, and lastly, Loesta mainly focuses on celebrities and figures within or adjacent to hip-hop culture. None of them are completely interchangeable, but they're also not too dissimilar, which is why they all have their own separate audiences, as there's a market for what each of these creators bring to the table. And obviously there's nothing wrong with the fact that people want to watch their videos. It's simple supply and demand. But there is something wrong with the way some of these channels go about making content and how they cover certain stories, as I believe some of them practice unethical journalism, regardless of whether or not they identify as one, for the main purpose of pumping out content, in turn maximizing profits. And I now want to get into a couple examples of what I mean. I'm sure we can all agree that spreading misinformation publication, engaging in the act of plagiarism, spinning a narrative that lacks merit, among other things, are all examples of bad journalism or negative qualities an informative piece of content can have. And I briefly want to go over 3 quote-unquote SunnyV2 clones that at some point have engaged in some of the aforementioned unethical journalism practices, the first of which being a channel going by the name Moon. Before anything, I briefly want to define the word plagiarism, which is basically just stealing someone else's work and passing it off as your own. On April 1st, 2020, a channel going by the name Overlord Gaming made a video titled Downfall of Reddit, a video he undoubtedly spent a lot of time putting together. However, on February 21st, 2021, Moon put out a video called Reddit is Worse Than You Thought, which had striking similarities to Overlord Gaming's video, and as a result, on August 8th, 2021, he posted a video calling out Moon for plagiarizing his video, and I now want to play you a clip.
I'll begin by showing you my video first, since mine was uploaded 326 days before the other guy's video, and I'll also show you an excerpt from the original script for Downfall of Reddit I wrote back in 2020. Just have a listen. They occasionally take the trouble to falsely accuse the ban community of breaking some rules in a pointless and pathetic attempt to justify the ban.
The admins of Reddit will falsely ban subreddits under the guise of breaking some arbitrary rules in a pointless and pathetic attempt to justify the ban.
They weren't always this trigger happy.
They weren't always this trigger happy.
There was, once upon a time, when they would only close a community if it brought unwanted media scrutiny and bad PR to the whole website.
There was actually a time when they would only close a community if it brought unwanted media scrutiny and bad PR to the whole website.
The earliest example of this might be the jailbait subreddit.
The earliest example of this was the jailbait subreddit,
which featured photographs that many argued were distasteful at best and borderline illegal at worst.
Which featured photographs of what many argued was distasteful at best and borderline illegal at worst.
As you saw, there's no mistaking that Moon did plagiarize Overlord Gaming's content, a fact he himself even acknowledged and admitted to, having made a now deleted comment underneath his plagiarized piece of content, which is now unavailable. This is a brief summary of the situation I covered in my slop video, but anyways, let's take a look at the second example of bad journalism I came across, this time from Loesta. The video of his I want to discuss is one about a streamer named Blackboy Max, and first things first, this thumbnail is absolutely ridiculous because it seems like he's trying to imply that in some way, Max is as bad as P. Diddy, a man who's facing trafficking charges among other things, which at the time of me writing the script, Max's name is tied to no such charges, crimes, or allegations, or anything like that. Already Loesta deserves criticism for the thumbnail alone, as through it seems like he's trying to imply a false narrative. But anyways, before we take a look at the video itself, I think it's important to talk about the streaming meta Blackboy Max is a part of. He's currently a member of the FaZe collective of personality-driven content creators that primarily live stream, and one of the biggest ways in which they get their names out there to the masses is through short-form content. A tactic they use in their short-form content strategy is called clip farming, which is essentially creating moments made for getting a reaction out of people for the purpose of getting clipped up in the hopes that one of those clips go viral, in turn potentially funneling more viewers to watch their content and ultimately growing their brands. Loesta himself acknowledges this content strategy and how Max is no stranger to saying the most out-of-pocket things and making the craziest gay and bullshit jokes for the purpose of potentially going viral. However, despite Loesta recognizing this, his video makes the argument that FaZe should reconsider being affiliated with Max, and his video overall paints Max as some sort of degenerate gooner freak who unironically takes pleasure in things like and stealing other men's girls, among other things, and attempts to support his arguments through various clips that have been taken out of context. On one of Blackboy Max's channels called Max Touches Grass, there's a video titled Petite Light Skin Dominates Mexican Lady, an obvious joke reminiscent of an adult title. Within said video, another streamer named Connie Rossi, along with her at the time boyfriend Aaron, were featured, and to make a long story short, Max and Aaron engaged in a friendly 1v1 basketball game, with the condition being that if Max won, he could take his girlfriend Connie on a date. Max ended up winning and they all went on a date, but if you actually watch the video itself, the overall tone of it is obviously comedic, and there's no serious romantic interest between Max and Connie. It's all just a bit. I now want to play you some clips from Max's video just for you to understand that the tone is meant to be casual, fun, and comedic. I then want to make a comparison to Loesta's coverage of said video as he tries to make things seem deeper than they actually are.
We going to Connie, I don't know, her Mexican homelands is a little south of LA, so we're gonna go there right now. Aaron, Connie. Who's taller?
I'm sitting up perfectly straight right now.
Nah, me too.
No.
Don't move the camera down. Yo, we gotta play for Connie, bro.
How the hell are we gonna play for Connie?
I don't know. I beat you, I win. Every player gotta agree to the terms.
If I win, you make a song about me. If you win, then I'll take you guys. I'll pay for your food.
Oh, we got him, man. Hey, look, let me tell y'all niggas like this. I'm perplexed. I just said if I beat your dirty ass in a game of basketball, I got to take your I just said that. And what's his response? Make a song about me. You are a moke. And this what I'm saying. This one I know I got him because I realized he really like boys. So Connie, all for me, man.
Oh my God.
Do you know what this means? You.
All right.
Me. How you feel, bro?
I feel disappointed.
What? Disappointed?
I have to go on a date with
What
that
the?
guy.
So look.
Have you met?
Hey, you getting cooked right now, man. You're supposed to be silent. Now, for some reason, the audio really up, so y'all won't be able to hear the combo, but let me just tell y'all this, man. This is the realest that I ever did in my life. What is more real than kicking a nigga out? This is love at first fifth sight. This love at fifth sight, okay? I had to count a little bit. You know, just look at us, man, just bonding. But this is what I'm talking about, boy. You can have her back. This date is over.
A one-on-one basketball game against the boyfriend of popular Twitch streamer Kenny Rossi, with the stakes being a date with her, where Max seemed completely unhinged throughout. Not only did he title the video Petite Light Skin Dominates Mexican Lady like it was something you'd find on the hub, but he also relentlessly dissed her boyfriend the entire time.
He is here to play Connie boyfriend and for me to finally win over this ass. After that, I'm gonna put her on a lie detector test. We gonna ask, oh, who you like more, me or boyfriend? She gonna say her boyfriend. The test gonna come back negative. Aaron, Connie.
When the time came for the game, Max knew he had him cornered.
Every player gotta agree to the terms.
If I win, you make a song about me. If you win, I'll pay for your food.
Oh! We got him, man. I just said if I beat your dirt in a game of basketball, I got to take your. And what's his response? Make a song about me. You f***ing gay ass. You are a moke.
Eventually, Max would actually go on to win the one-on-one.
Do you know what this means? You.
All right.
Me. How you feel, bro?
I feel disappointed.
What? Disappointed?
I have to go on a date with
What
that
the?
guy. I'm disappointed. I have to be on a date for like at least 30 minutes with Max face to face.
That's the best thing that happened to you.
Proving once and for all that his brain has been melted by adult films, Max insisted on calling her man a while he paid for their food. And for Max, this was the biggest win imaginable.
Now, for some reason, the audio really up, so y'all won't be able to hear the combo, but let me just tell y'all this, man. This is the realest nigga that I ever did in my life. What is more real than nigga out? I get nigga out. The only realer thing I could have did was take it. I'm not in like that. That's why I'm telling y'all, man, I really feel like this is the most successful day of my entire life. You see we vibing, she's staring into my eyes, man. This is love at first fifth sight.
Eventually,
Overall, the argument that FaZe should reconsider their affiliation with Max brought up by Loesta, primarily based on out-of-context clips that are obviously meant to cross the line for attention, is flimsy, as none of the quote-unquote evidence he provides firmly supports his arguments. And as a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure FaZe at the moment is loving their affiliation with Max, as he's one of the biggest streamers in the current era, and he's an innovator in the streaming world, having further bridged the gap between the world of mainstream celebrities and streamers through the numerous collaborations with mainstream and underground artists alike. On July 16th, 2022, the Internet Anarchist published his first video, part of a series of 3, exposing another creator going by the name The Tech Realm, who I'll be referring to as Dallas. Internet Anarchist accuses Dallas of having faked videos in the past, as well as having stolen other people's content, among other accusations. And on January 23rd, 2023, Dallas uploaded a video admitting he has indeed staged videos, and has taken content that doesn't belong to him at some point. Although Internet Anarchist does bring up some valid critiques, he doesn't paint the full picture of some of the situations regarding Dallas, and it seems like he's purposefully omitting vital pieces of information from the situations he covers for the purpose of supporting his narrative that Dallas is some sort of evil content thief who also fakes his videos. There's a lot to go into here, as Dallas has 2 videos breaking down each one of Internet Anarchist's arguments, so for brevity I want to focus on addressing one accusation in particular, that Dallas is a content thief. To break down said accusation, I need to give you the full context to which the Internet Anarchist fails to provide. On December 6, 2018, a creator named Chris Awake uploaded a video titled Real YouTube Rewind 2018, and on the same day, Dallas received an email from a random person telling Dallas to check out a video he claimed to have made, and they linked Chris Awake's aforementioned video. The truth is, the sender of the email didn't make the video, and the next day Dallas decided to upload a reaction video featuring the content linked in the email. On the same day, the actual creator of the video, Chris Awake, took to Reddit to call Dallas out, as he claimed he stole his video, and he also announced via Reddit he was planning on copyright striking Dallas. The next day, Chris uploaded a screenshot image of the successful takedown of Dallas's video featuring his content. Then the next day, Chris uploaded a video on his channel, once again calling out Dallas, and he also announced the fact that his DMCA request was successful. On December 14th, Dallas received an email saying the video had been taken down by Chris Awake, and he said he was completely unaware that any of the aforementioned events involving Chris calling him out, as well as the copyright strike, had transpired, and only found out about this whole situation when he received the email. In other words, Dallas wasn't aware that Chris wasn't okay with his content being featured in Dallas's video, and so, recognizing his mistake, Dallas reached out to Chris offering to compensate him, to which he declined. However, Dallas insisted and wanted to show support and make amends, so on December 16th, Chris uploaded a video to his channel announcing the issue had been resolved, and even pointed out how Dallas donated $500 to him via Patreon, to which Chris bought his whole team at his job burgers, and this concludes the Chris Awake and the Tech Realm situation, having ended with a nice wholesome bow to tie up an otherwise messy misunderstanding. The Internet Anarchist, however, omitted vital pieces of information regarding this story, such as the fact that Dallas and Chris resolved the issue amicably, and how Dallas ended up compensating Chris, ostensibly for the purpose of portraying Dallas in a negative light, because including the fact that their situation was completely resolved wouldn't allow for the Internet Anarchist to continue painting Dallas as a content thief. Now that you have a good summary of how this situation played out, I'm now going to play out the entirety of Internet Anarchist's coverage of said situation for you to see that he did not cover this story in its completion.
Like a shark sniffing blood, the following month, Dallas would post a video titled The Real YouTube Rewind 2018, a well-edited recap of YouTube's 2018. The video was great and quickly gained over 300,000 views, but shortly after the video was uploaded, a mysterious post would go onto Reddit. A post on the r/DeFranco subreddit titled, "My YouTube Rewind parody got stolen by a bigger creator. Please help." A post pleading for help, revealing that Dallas had not made the video, but had in fact stolen the video from a smaller creator and posted it without proper credit. To add salt to the wound, Dallas would also remove the copyrighted music to gain a profit from the video. A few days after the Reddit post, the original creator Chris Awake would post a video onto YouTube titled, "How to Steal a YouTube Rewind Video and Get Away With It," a video where he discussed how his hard work was stolen by the Ticket Realm. But after 900 upvotes, 60,000 views, and the threat of the Ticket Realm being exposed in the Philip DeFranco show, he removed the stolen 300,000 view video from his channel. But this was only the first of many creations that the Ticket Realm would steal for a quick buck. The next situation addressed by Dallas was the Chris Awake stolen rewind video. Dallas claims that a random person emailed him the video asking him to post it. He also claims that he wasn't aware of the situation until it was struck down, but once again, Dallas is not telling the truth. What really happened was that he found out he stole someone's video and added a link crediting the original creator, but to add salt to the wound, he did this underneath all of his other links. He could have avoided the strike altogether by just simply removing the video when he noticed it was stolen, and that's also considering if he was really sent this video by a random fan and he didn't just find the video himself and posting thinking he could get away with it. He also claims that the music wasn't edited out, but with the video now being struck down, I can't prove that to be real or fake, so we gotta take his word for it. When doing my research, I didn't find information showing he compensated Chris Awake, so if he did, that's something that I should have mentioned in my video, as it at least shows some sort of resolution to the situation.
Yes, Dallas did use another creator's content without permission, but this situation isn't black and white, and he's not this evil guy who purposefully stole a smaller creator's content for profit that Internet Anarchist paints him to be. This whole situation was simply a misunderstanding. And the fact that he said that while he was doing research for this video, he didn't find Chris's video explaining how everything was resolved is crazy, because if you go to Chris's channel, the two videos of Chris explaining the entire situation, from him initially calling Dallas out to him talking about how Dallas donated to his Patreon, can be found directly next to each other. Overall, like I previously mentioned, I don't hate this side of YouTube, nor do I hate any of the channels I covered, but I do believe it was important to shed a light on some of the unethical journalism practices some of these channels have engaged in, because if they've done it once, then who's to say they won't do it again. I also do believe that channels like these are important to the YouTube ecosystem, as they generally cover stories of public figures who have done something wrong and need to be held accountable for, which is important, but there is a right and a wrong way to go about covering these stories, and to go about it in the wrong way ultimately has the potential of muddying the water as well as negatively impacting people's lives.